Sullivan's Crossing Season 2 ending explain a tragedy has huge Season 3 consequences. What if the fire wasn't an accident? What if Sully was never meant to walk out alive? And what if the baby Maggie carries is the real reason Timberlake is about to implode? There are things happening in Sullivan's Crossing that no one is talking about. Not even the characters themselves, because when tragedy strikes in a town that runs on silence, every secret burns faster than gasoline. By the end of Season 2, one truth becomes impossible to ignore: someone wanted to erase Sully, and they almost succeeded. But before we expose why, you need to understand what they were hiding. Season 2 of Sullivan's Crossing doesn't end, it detonates. And beneath that explosion lies a truth so painful, it could shatter everything the show has carefully built. Let's rewind. The season opened with fractures, financial, emotional, and moral. But it ends with collapse. The cozy diner, Ash, Sully, missing in the fire, Maggie, pregnant, with a child that could ruin everything she just chose to protect. But here's the problem nobody's seeing clearly yet. It was never just about money. It was never just about love. It was always about control. Because in Timberlake, ownership equals power. And Sully, he owned the crossing. And that meant one thing: he was in the way. Now ask yourself this: who benefits most from Sully disappearing? Was it Glenn, the real estate predator who almost snatched the crossing at auction? Was it someone closer, someone inside the town, hiding behind a smile and a donation? There's a reason the fire happened after the crossing was saved. There's a reason Glenn's aide didn't make it to the courthouse in time. And there's a reason Maggie didn't tell Cal about the baby until now. Secrets stack. And when they do, people fall. Before we dig deeper, here's the moment you must pause. This is exactly the kind of breakdown that YouTube buries. And that's why you should subscribe right now. Because the truth about Sullivan's Crossing, no one else is telling it like this. Subscribe now, or miss everything that comes next. Let's continue. Sully isn't just some old man with a big heart and a sad past. He's the town's unpaid guardian. The silent bank. The reason half the people in Timberlake made it through the last decade. He gave money he didn't have, time he couldn't spare, and second chances no one else believed in. And that's exactly why they targeted him. Because the more generous Sully became, the more dangerous he became to people who profit from pain. He was never alone, not really. Because when the town finally realized what they were about to lose, they showed up. Wallets open, hearts exposed. They saved the crossing. For now. But that victory came with a cost. Rob's diner, a place of laughter, memories, late night conversations, turned into a funeral pyre. And Sully vanished in the flames. Let's pause. Think about the timeline. Sully enters the diner to save Finn. Cal emerges with the child. Sully doesn't. The fire explodes. The firefighters arrive too late. Rafe searches and comes up empty. But here's what doesn't make sense. Sully, the man who's always prepared, the man who survived worse, the man who just got his life back, suddenly fails to make it out. That's not just suspicious. That's surgical. And if you think that's the last time tragedy will strike, you're not ready for Season 3. Because Maggie's baby is the key. And the father, he's not who should be holding the lock. Andrew was never meant to be part of Timberlake's future. He was Maggie's past. A clean-cut mistake from Boston, the man she was supposed to forget. But now, he's deep in her future. That child changes everything, and Cal may not stay for the storm. Why? Because Cal doesn't want kids, he said it. Repeatedly. And Maggie, she's carrying Andrews. It's the ultimate emotional landmine. A man who finally opens his heart, only to find himself raising someone else's legacy. A woman who swears she wants a new beginning, but might be walking into another self-made trap. And a town that just lost its center. Everything hinges on what Sully knew before the fire. Because he did know something. And someone made sure he couldn't say it out loud. That's why you need to hear what happens in Season 3. Because Maggie's past isn't done with her. And Timberlake, it's about to make her choose. Again, you see, Sully had been too generous. For too long. And in a town where favors come with silent interest, his kindness was interpreted as weakness. But what the town forgot was that Sully's been quietly keeping Timberlake alive. From helping Lola after her accident, to financing her college dreams in secret, to fixing ramps, delivering groceries, waiving payments, Sully was Timberlake. So when the diner burned, it wasn't just wooden walls that collapsed. It was Timberlake's soul, set on fire. But this isn't just about Sully. Because Maggie, she made a choice, and it might be the one that undoes everything. For 2 years, Maggie danced between Andrew and Cal. Andrew the legacy, the safety, the version of herself built in a Boston boardroom. Cal the risk, the reboot, the raw, real connection she never allowed herself to want. She finally chose. She chose Timberlake. She chose Cal. She chose herself. But what happens when your new life carries the DNA of your old one? Maggie is pregnant, with Andrew's child. And now the man she's chosen has to decide. Can he raise a baby that isn't his? Can he trust Maggie not to run again? Because let's not forget, Maggie's worst enemy is herself. And Andrew, he's not going away. Even if he doesn't move to Timberlake, his presence is permanent. His child ties him to every decision Maggie makes now and Cal. He's still the man who said, I don't want kids. So what happens next isn't just about love, it's about legacy. Una spirad q and mucho cdt fire. Let's revisit the diner explosion. Everything about it was convenient. Perfectly timed, too perfect. Think about it. The crossing is saved. Sully's hospital bills are mounting. And just when it seems like the town might recover, the diner, Timberlake's second heart burns down. That's not random. Rob's diner had debts, insurances, a strange stack of missing permits dating back years. But there's something darker. The night of the fire, a figure was seen leaving the back alley. Not confirmed, not arrested, just gone. Was it Glenn? Or someone tied to Glenn? Or was it someone else? Someone inside the town who didn't want Sully to talk. What if Sully knew the real reason Glenn missed the auction? What if he had proof? What if that fire wasn't meant to kill Sully, but to silence him? If Sully is dead, the truth dies with him. If he survived, the truth becomes a weapon. So what's the truth? There's something we haven't seen yet. A ledger, hidden in Sully's office. It lists every payment he's made for the town, every anonymous donation, every waiver, every second chance. But that ledger also includes who asked for what, when, and under what pressure. It's a blueprint of guilt, of leverage, of power. And if it falls into the wrong hands, it could destroy Timberlake, because some of the names in that ledger aren't just townsfolk. They're bankers, real estate lawyers, judges, and one very specific council member. You might think the biggest twist is Sully's possible death. It's not. It's the baby. Because that child is a living inheritance. One that connects Boston and Timberlake. One that forces Andrew and Cal into an unspoken rivalry. One that splits Maggie's future into two roads, and neither leads to peace. Will Andrew fight for custody? Will Cal walk away? Will Maggie stay? Or sabotage herself again? And what if the baby inherits more than blood? What if this child is the reason someone burned the diner? To wipe the slate clean. To start over without Sully. Without Maggie. Without anyone who remembers how Timberlake used to be. Because sometimes a child isn't just a life. It's a weapon. Season 3 is already finished filming. But what's coming is unlike anything we've seen so far. Rob must choose. Rebuild the diner or walk away forever. Maggie will have to tell Andrew about the baby, and face his reaction. Cal will decide whether he can become a father to someone else's child. And Sully. If he's alive, he's not coming back quietly. There's also a rumor, one that hasn't made it into the press, that someone from Maggie's past, before Boston, returns. A shadow no one expects. Someone who knows what Maggie did before she left the city, and what she's still hiding. The final scene of Season 3. Let's just say you'll never see it coming. This isn't just a romantic drama anymore. It's a slow-motion mystery, a generational reckoning, and someone is playing a very long game. The crossing was never just land. It's leverage, it's legacy, and someone wants it bad enough to burn everything in their path. The fire was just the beginning. And Sully, if he's alive, he knows who lit the match. But until he speaks, or until someone finds that ledger, every single character is in danger, because Timberlake has secrets, and secrets don't stay buried forever.